Hi guys, I was tagged by Dane Cobain over at Dane Reads to do this, the 25 bookish facts about me. And thanks Dane. I thought I would do it. You know what, when I first started doing this I wasn't sure if I'd be able to come up with 25 bookish facts about me, but actually it was a lot easier than I thought. So I'm just going to get right into it. Bookish fact number 1. I am I am a slow reader. Bookish fact number 2. When I was a kid, I got my mom to read me books all the time before I went to bed. Bookish fact number 3. The most chosen book I got her to read me, and I swear to God, it was like almost every night, Frosty the Snowman. Number 4. I had trouble learning to read when I was in school, and I had to take a special class. But the interesting thing about this is that instead of letting it pass me by like maybe a lot of people would, I ended up tackling reading and wanted to learn it. And I found something magical in reading, in that you could go to different places and experience different things. And I completely fell in love with that idea, and so I tackled reading, and I continued to try until I finally, was able to learn it. And the reason why I had trouble learning it was I had trouble visualizing the words in my head. I could actually read the words, but I couldn't visualize it. And once I got that idea, or straightened out, I guess, it was smooth sailing, although I am still a slow reader. If there's too many adjectives in a story, then I sometimes can't pay attention as well. I find too many descriptions lose me. All right, number 5. Although I do prefer physical books, I read primarily ebooks because it's easier to take either in my tab with me or my cell phone, which is usually my cell phone, and just read wherever I am. 6. I listen up to 2 to 3 audiobooks a month, depending on the length of the thing. If it's like a 30-hour book, that could very easily take me the entire month. And of course, if I'm enjoying it or not. If I'm just like, hey, this is okay, I'll listen to it, but it's not blowing me away, then I find that I'm not listening to it as much, and it takes longer as well. Number 7, I'm really picky when it comes to the narrators of audiobooks. If there's something about their voice that annoys me, sort of like what I was discussing about Carmilla in my readathon, Books in the Freezer readathon wrap-up, the narrator really kind of irked me. And the narrator really has to work with the story, and B, my ears. Number 8. I constantly lose bookmarks. Fuck, I lose them all the time. Number 9. I often find those bookmarks in either books that I meant to read, and so I stuck the bookmark in there, and then later on decided I wasn't going to read it and reshelved it, or in books that I have read, and just say I finished it at work, I put the bookmark back in just to keep it there, and then I shelve it, and it's gone. Number 10. Swan Song by Robert R. McCammon is the book that made me want to become a writer myself. That book just blew me away. I've read it a few times as well. Number 11, unpopular opinion. Swan Song is better than The Stand. Which says something, because The Stand is actually a really awesome book too. But I think the reason for my saying this is that I read the Swan Song first, and it completely captured my imagination. And, that's obviously, it's not a dig at The Stand either, but I thought that would be funny. Okay, number 12. BookTube has made me more than double my typical reading output that I've had for the last 5 years. I'm already, doubling the other years, and the year isn't over yet, so that's excellent. Thanks, BookTube. speaking of that, my number 13 is that I went through a 3 to 4 year reading slump during my son's first few years alive. The reason for this is, well, anyone who has kids knows how much work they are, but Keenan, he needed a little bit extra work because he's on the spectrum. He's high functioning autistic, and he really does have the kindest heart I've ever seen in a little kid, at least when he's around us. but he does need help with a lot of extra things, especially when it comes to taking care of himself. And so reading sort of took a bit of a back seat, which I think leads me to my next point, 14. I learned that I'm not a very happy person when my reading output is low. Basically meaning I need to read in order to be a happy person. I don't know why that is. I guess sort of like a drug, I guess. Stephen King calls his writing he claims that writing for him is his drug. Reading for me is my drug. I love reading. Nothing takes you away quite like that. Alright, fact number 15. I read the first Twilight after Stephen King was quoted to say that Stephenie Meyers can't write worth a shit. I did. And point number 16, I didn't hate it like I thought I would. But I also didn't exactly like it either. I didn't continue reading the series. I just needed to know what all the hype was. Point number 17. The first book I read on my own was when I was around 10 or 11. It's an adventure story that's part of a series based on the Vietnam War. The book is Unconfirmed Kill. And the series is Vietnam Ground Zero. Number 18, that series would lead to a very weird nostalgic feelings that I get, and a fascination with the Vietnam War. It's kind of weird that I have nostalgic feelings about Vietnam. Nobody should have nostalgic feelings about any war, ever. But those books were a lot of fun. I mean, they weren't exactly the most serious. They were published by a publisher called Golden Eagle, and they did books like Mac Bullen, so it was like that type of spy adventure story, except it was in Vietnam, and there were no spies. Not really, anyway. Okay, bookish fact number 19. I don't have a favorite author. I really don't. What I do have are a bunch of favorites. I just can't name one person, one writer as my favorite of all time. It's just impossible. I read too many authors. I think people might understand that. I don't know. Fact number 20. I don't like dog-earing books, but I don't mind highlighting and taking notes. It's a total contradiction. I understand that, but I don't understand why I feel that way. Dog-earing just annoys me. When it's sitting on the shelf, you can see the wrinkled pages, and I hate that. But if you're taking notes and highlighting things, that's kind of cool. I actually like it when I buy used books and they're highlighted with notes in them. I think that it's always fun to read what people were saying or what notes they were taking. Fact number 21, I get angry, visibly angry, when I see people abusing the spines of their books. When they just pull it back like this. It opens this way, and then they, just so they can flatten it out on the surface of a table. You don't fucking do that. That makes the pages fall out, okay? I don't know how many used books I've bought or gotten from the library where the pages are falling out and the spines are nothing but wrinkles. And it's because people are doing that. Don't do that to your books. Seriously. I told you. I could rant about that for a long time, trust me. Alright, number 22, I prefer paperbacks to hardcover books. There's a few reasons for this. One is that they're easier to hold, in bed, everywhere. Unless, of course, you're one of those people who like to read on a flat surface, then those ones actually do stay open. And they're okay to read that way, but I just like having it in my hand. I think that's another unpopular opinion around booktube as well. A lot of booktubers like their hardcovers. I like my hardcovers, but mostly for collecting. I don't necessarily like reading them. Fact number 23, I cannot concentrate on my reading if I'm in a room full of talking people. I can't stand that. It's like my ears just sort of start tuning in what they're saying instead of what I'm trying to read. Fact number 24, I hate it when I'm trying to read and people keep talking to me regardless. I may be polite to you, but inside my head, I am bashing in your face. And bookish fact number 25, the final one. I read mostly horror and weird fiction, but I also love science fiction, thrillers, fantasy, nonfiction, war fiction, contemporary adult, literary, noir, and some young adults. Alright, those are my 25 bookish facts about me. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more bookish videos coming your way, and keep being creative. Thanks for watching, everyone.